back to the Trading Post. We got another good episode for you. Of course, here's my co-host, good old Noodle. He's wound up and ready to roll, so I'm going to have to put him back in his cage here in just a second. I wanted to do the intro here. Anyways, we got a good show for you today. It's episode 13, The Lost City of Atlantis. All right, we're going to go through what facts we've scrounged up, and any type of theories, hypotheses, anything like that we found. And we're going to do the best we can to make this informative and entertaining, interesting as we can, you know. So I hope you guys hang tight, and we'll be back, okay? All right, everybody, I'm back. Okay, and let me start with this by saying I do have a book that references this, one of the hypotheses or theories on the lost city of Atlantis, where they think it's at, and some of the research that worked. But what I'm going to do is I will show a couple pages of some drawings as to some of the research, and I'll reference the book. As a matter of fact, I might as well, I'll do it here later because I have it set up that way. Anyhow, let's get started with this. I got a good bit of stuff on this. Hopefully you hang in to the end. Please do. I appreciate it. Okay, this is some of the stuff that I got from like Wikipedia. Okay, and they're saying Atlantis is a fictional island mentioned in Plato's works, Timaeus and Critias, as part of an allegory on the hubris of nations. In the story, Atlantis is described as a naval empire that ruled all western parts of the known world, making it the literary counter-image of the Achaemenid Empire. After an ill-fated attempt to conquer ancient Athens, Atlantis falls out of favor with the deities and submerges into the Atlantic Ocean. Since Plato describes Athens as resembling his ideal state in the Republic, the Atlantis story is meant to bear witness to the superiority of his concept of state. And I got, where's it at here? I'm going to go ahead and do that picture of his concept of it as soon as I can pull it up here. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I got it marked on here. I just can't find it. Get to that page. All right. So, like this is Plato's conception of the terrestrial sphere, it says. So I don't know if you can see all that or not, but that's one of his concepts of it. And then we got, let me see, here's another one. I might as well just show it to you now. And as far as, this is the Bimini Road and the research that they've done as far as the stonework and how it's laid out. That's the Bimini Road. Okay? And let me see if I can get it closer so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right. Okay. So that's that for those for now. And, okay. Athanasius Kircher's 1669. That was another one. I'm going to post it on here. I got to edit it in. Anyways, Athanasius Kircher's 1669 map. That's what I was supposed to show. I fumbled up on that, guys. Sorry. I am going to edit it in here. We're at 4 minutes, okay. Despite its minor importance in Plato's work, the Atlantis story has had a considerable impact on literature. The allegorical aspect of Atlantis was taken up in utopian works of several Renaissance writers, such as Francis Bacon's New Atlantis. You guys can look these up and check them out if you prefer, if you'd like to. And Thomas More's Utopia was his book. On the other hand, 19th century amateur scholars misinterpreted Plato's narrative as historical tradition, most famously Ignatius Donnelly in his Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. Plato's vague indications of the time of the events, more than 9,000 years before his time, an alleged location of Atlantis, beyond the Pillars of Hercules. gave rise to much pseudoscientific speculation. As a consequence, Atlantis has become a byword for any and all supposed advanced prehistoric lost civilizations and continues to inspire contemporary fiction, from comic books to films. While present-day philologists and classicists agree on the story's fictional nature, there is still a debate on what served as its inspiration. Plato is known to have freely borrowed some of his allegories and metaphors from older traditions. As he did with the story of Gyges, this led a number of scholars to suggest possible inspiration of Atlantis from Egyptian records of the Thera eruption, the Sea People's invasion, or the Trojan War. Others have rejected this chain of tradition as implausible and insist that Plato created an entirely fictional account, drawing loose inspiration from events such as the failed Athenian invasion of Sicily in 415 to 413 BC, or the destruction of Helike in 373 BC. The only primary sources for Atlantis are Plato's dialogues. All other mentions of the island are based on them. The dialogues claim to quote Solon, who visited Egypt between 590 and 580 BC. They state that he translated Egyptian records of Atlantis. Plato introduced Atlantis in Timaeus, written in 360 BC. Here's one of his quotes. For it is related in our records how once upon a time your state stayed the course of a mighty host, which, starting from a distant point in the Atlantic Ocean, was insolently advancing to attack the whole of Europe and Asia to boot. For the ocean there was at that time navigable. For in front of the mouth, which you Greeks call, as you say, the pillars of Heracles or Hercules, there lay an island which was larger than Libya and Asia together. And it was possible for the travelers of that time to cross from it to the other islands, and from the islands to the whole of the continent over against them, which encompasses that veritable ocean. For all that we have here lying within the mouth of which we speak is evidently a haven having a narrow entrance, but that yonder is a real ocean, and the land surrounding it may most rightly be called, in the fullest and truest sense, a continent. Now in this island of Atlantis there existed a confederation of kings, of great and marvelous power, which held sway over all the island, and over many other islands also, and parts of the continent. Okay, I gotta take a breath on that one. So, and in the end, the debate is whether they want to take this as actual fact that he had fact handed down to him, or he recorded this fact and brought it forth from somebody else, or not. As I was saying about Solon. Okay, Solon was the Egyptian who, from what they say, he translated Egyptian records of Atlantis. And according to this, supposedly that's how Plato must have got this. I don't know. That's just the debate. Okay, you can try and figure this out yourself on how you want to see it. We'll find our own truth, as we always do on this show, right? So according to Critias, the Hellenic deities of old divided the land so that each deity might have their own lot. Poseidon was appropriately and to his liking bequeathed the island of Atlantis. The island was larger than ancient Libya and Asia Minor combined, but it was later sunk by an earthquake and became an impassable mud shoal, inhibiting travel to any part of the ocean. Plato asserted that the Egyptians described Atlantis as an island consisting mostly of mountains in the northern portions and along the shore, and encompassing a great plain in an oblong shape in the south extending in one direction 3,000 stadia, or 555 kilometers, or 345 miles. But across the center inland, it was 2,000 stadia, 370 kilometers, or 230 miles. 50 stadia, or 9 kilometers, or 6 miles, from the coast was a mountain that was low on all sides. Broke it off all round about the central island itself was 5 stadias in diameter, or 5 stades, in diameter, or 0.92 kilometer, or 0.57 miles. In Plato's tale, Poseidon fell in love with Cleito, the daughter of Evenor and Leucippe, who bore him 5 pairs of male twins. The eldest of these, Atlas, was made rightful king of the entire island and the ocean, and was given the mountain of his birth and the surrounding area as his fiefdom. Atlas's twin, Gadeirus, or Eumelus in Greek, was given the extremity of the island toward the Pillar of Hercules. The other 4 pairs of twins, Amphires and Evamon, Menecius and Autochton, Elasippus and Mestor, and Azaeus and Diaprepes, were also given rule over many men and a large territory. Poseidon carved the mountain where his love dwelt into a palace and enclosed it with 3 circular moats of increasing width, varying from 1 to 3 stadia, and separated by rings of land proportional in size. The Atlanteans then built bridges northward from the mountain, making a route to the rest of the island. They dug a great canal to the sea, and alongside the bridges carved tunnels into the rings of rock so that ships could pass into the city around the mountain. They carved docks from the rock walls of the moats. Every passage to the city was guarded by gates and towers, and a wall surrounded each ring of the city. The walls were constructed of red, white, and black rock quarried from the moats, and were covered with brass, tin, and the precious metal orichalcum. According to Critias, 9,000 years before his lifetime, a war took place between those outside the Pillars of Hercules and those who dwelt within them. The Atlanteans had conquered the parts of Libya within the Pillars as far as Egypt, and the European continent as far as Tyrrhenia, and had subjected its people to slavery. Okay, so there was a war between the ones outside the Pillars of Hercules and the ones in Pillars. I'm sorry, I was distracted. Anyhow, it was a war between the people outside of the Pillars of Hercules and the people inside of it. Outside and inside. So that's where we're at with this so far. Okay, the Athenians led an alliance of resistors against the Atlantean Empire. And as the alliance disintegrated, prevailed alone against the empire, liberating the occupied lands. The logographer Hellenicus of Lesbos wrote an earlier work entitled Atlantis, of which only a few fragments survive. Hellenicus's work appears to have been a genealogical one concerning the daughters of Atlas, but some authors have suggested a possible connection with Plato's island. John V. Lucy notes that when Plato writes about the genealogy of Atlantis' kings, he writes in the same style as Hellenicus, suggesting a similarity between a fragment of Hellenicus' work and an account in the Critias. Rodney Castleton suggests that Plato may have borrowed his title from Hellenicus, who may have based his work on an earlier work about Atlantis. Castleton has pointed out that Plato wrote of Atlantis in 359 BC, when he returned to Athens from Sicily. He notes a number of parallels between the physical organization and fortifications of Syracuse and Plato's description of Atlantis. Gunnar Rudberg was the first who elaborated upon the idea that Plato's attempt to realize his political ideas in the city of Syracuse could have heavily inspired the Atlantis account. Many have proposed locations for Atlantis, including psychic Edgar Cayce, as well as Atlantis researchers such as Jacques Collina Girard and Georgios Diaz Montexano. Many of the sites share some of the characteristics of the Atlantis story: the water, catastrophic ending, relevant time period, they coincide, but none has been demonstrated to be a true historical Atlantis. Okay, I have a picture I'm going to have to put in here at this point. So, most of the historically proposed locations are in or near the Mediterranean Sea. Islands such as Sardinia, Crete, Santorini, Sicily, Cyprus, and Malta, land-based cities or states such as Troy, Tartessos, and Tantalus, Israel, Sinai, or Canaan, and northwestern Africa, including the Rishat structure in Mauritania, if misinterpretation of Gibraltar as the location rather than being at the Gulf of Laconia would lend itself to many erroneous concepts regarding the location of Atlantis. Plato may have not been aware of the difference. The Laconian pillars open to the south toward Crete and beyond which is Egypt. So could he have made a mistake there and just mistaken what pillars where his location was at? I mean, I don't know if he was somewhat of a local or may have been there before. He probably didn't make that mistake, I wouldn't imagine, unless he intentionally did so to, I don't know, just make a story. I don't know. But the Thera eruption and the late Bronze Age collapse affected that area and might have been the devastation to which the sources used by Plato referred. Significant events such as these would have been likely material for tales passed from one generation to another for almost 1,000 years. Okay? The location of Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean has a certain appeal given the closely related names. Popular culture places Atlantis there due to the Platonic setting as they understand it. The Canary Islands and the Madeira Islands have been identified as a possible location west of the Straits of Gibraltar, but in relative proximity to the Mediterranean Sea. Detailed studies of their geomorphology and geology have demonstrated, however, that they have been steadily uplifted without any significant periods of subsidence over the last 4 million years by geologic processes such as erosional unloading, gravitational unloading, lithospheric flexure induced by adjacent islands, and volcanic underplating. Various islands or island groups in the Atlantic were also identified as possible locations, notably the Azores. Similarly, cores of sediment covering the ocean bottom surrounding the Azores and other evidence demonstrate that it has been an undersea plateau for millions of years. And therefore, the Azores couldn't have been, according to the catastrophic events he was describing in his dialogue or his stories. According to them, that's kind of evident, you know. So the submerged island of Spartel near the Strait of Gibraltar has also been suggested. That's another one. It doesn't say much more on that one, but in Europe, that's another one. So we're going to go to the Europe ones. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is a little drawn out, but we're going to get through it, okay? We're going to get to this. And I hope you guys are learning something from this. I'm trying not to go too fast, but I don't want to drag it out too long. In Europe, several hypotheses place the sunken island in northern Europe, including Doggerland in the North Sea and Sweden. Doggerland, as well as Viking-Bergen Island, is thought to have been flooded by a mega tsunami. Okay? following the Strega slide of 6100 BC. Some have proposed the Celtic Shelf as a possible location, and that there is a link to Ireland. In 2004, Swedish physiographist Ulf Erlingsson proposed that the legend of Atlantis was based on Stone Age Ireland. He later stated that he does not believe that Atlantis ever existed, but maintained that his hypothesis that its description matches Ireland's geography has a 99.8% probability. The director of the National Museum of Ireland commented that there was no archaeology supporting this. In 2011, a team working on a documentary for the National Geographic Channel, led by Professor Richard Freund from the University of Hartford, claimed to have found possible evidence of Atlantis in southwestern Andalusia. Spanish scientists dismissed Freund's speculations, claiming he sensationalized their work. Another theory was that of Rainer Kuhn, who places Atlantis in the Marismas de Hinojos, north of the city of Cadiz. Before that, a historian named Adolf Schulten had stated in the 1920s that Plato had used Tartessos as the basis for his Atlantis myth. Other locations, several writers such as Flavio Barbero, as early as 1974, have speculated that Antarctica is the site of Atlantis. A number of claims involve the Caribbean, such as an alleged underwater formation of the Guanahacubes Peninsula in Cuba. That was a long name. I'm sorry. I'm struggling with the names. I'm trying, you guys. Give me some credit. I'm doing my best. The adjacent Bahamas or the folkloric Bermuda Triangle have been proposed as well. Areas in the Pacific and Indian Oceans have also been proposed, including Indonesia. The stories of the lost continent off the coast of India, named Kumari Kandam, have inspired some to draw parallels to Atlantis. All right, let's see here. Okay, everyone. Wow, that was a lot of different places they hypothesized about. Right? I'm honestly surprised, but no one's wrong until it's figured out, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Honestly, I've always heard a lot about Bimini Road in the Bahamas, and honestly, there's a pretty good book I can reference for you. Okay, if you want to check it out, a lot of interesting information in it. It's called The Stones of Atlantis by Dr. David Zink, and here's the book right here. Okay, that's the one I showed you a couple of those pictures out of. Right? It's pretty good, pretty interesting. Okay. But yeah, there's also Edgar Casey, the psychic, referenced this as well. Not the book, but Bimini in the Bahamas for Atlantis' site. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and read a little excerpt for you about Edgar Casey. Okay, which actually was an excerpt in this book here. Okay. So I didn't come up with this or, pull it anywhere else. It came from there. It's just a short little excerpt. So researchers in prehistory admit to using psychic data in their fields, partly due to the accuracy of Edgar Casey, right? Excuse me. In 1937, during a past life reading, Casey spoke of the subject's association with Jesus in a school run by the Essenes, located on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. The first of the ancient Essene manuscripts, later known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, was not to be discovered until 1948. The Essene community itself was not discovered until 1949 at Qumran. Casey also implied a close working relationship between Jesus and the Essenes, which is still being investigated by conventional and religious circles. Okay, that's interesting. Had Casey's work been better known in 1937, his lead to the Qumran site might have been seen as the first in intuitive archaeology. As it was, Casey died in 1945 without hearing of the discovery he himself had pinpointed. That kind of stinks, not getting to see, his discovery there. Technically, his technical discovery, we'll say. Okay, guys, I got. What is it here? I got 14. Yeah, 14 questions on here, and then it answers them. And this is some of the stuff I got through other means of research and stuff. But it says, where is the real Atlantis located, right? Popular culture often places Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean, perpetuating the original Platonic setting as they understand it. Canary Islands and Madeira Islands have been identified as a possible location west of the Straits of Gibraltar, but in relative proximity to the Mediterranean Sea, which was already stated. Okay? Sorry, guys, I didn't realize it was kind of like a rerun there. Some of this stuff may actually be rerun. I didn't. Okay, question 2. Is the lost city of Atlantis real? Okay. The city of Atlantis is a fictional island nation mentioned in the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Per Plato's account in his dialogues, the futuristic Atlantic Ocean-based civilization of Atlantis fell thousands of years ago, swallowed by the sea upon defeat in battle. So that really doesn't answer your question. Let's go with what our truth is, right? We'll believe whether it's real or not. That's our own individual perception. Let's do that. What is the original story of Atlantis? Plato told the story of Atlantis around 360 BC. The founders of Atlantis, he said, were half god and half human. They created a utopian civilization and became a great naval power. Their home was made up of concentric islands separated by wide moats and linked by a canal that penetrated to the center. Okay. Now let's go to question 4. What did Atlanteans look like? The Atlanteans have tan skin, white hair, full lips, and black eyes. Most of the tunics, robes, and garments are worn by the Atlanteans are blue with some gold and orange colors interwoven. Now that blows my mind. How in the heck they even... I don't know. That might have been a BS thing there that was pulled out. Sometimes you try to weed through this stuff, and sometimes it sneaks through. But has Atlantis been found yet? No. To date, no concrete evidence or definitive discovery of Atlantis has been made, despite numerous theories, expeditions, and searches conducted over the years. Archaeological remains or conclusive proof of the existence of Atlantis have yet to be found. Doesn't mean they won't be, though, right? They just haven't been found yet. Who knows? Maybe you might be the lucky one. Go out wherever and find remains of Atlantis. How cool would that be, huh? Be known to find remains of Atlantis? That'd be awesome. Anyways, what year did Atlantis sink? Plato describes it as a powerful and advanced kingdom that sank in a night and a day into the ocean around 9600 BC. The ancient Greeks were divided as to whether Plato's story was to be taken as history or more metaphor. And again, it's still, to this day, it's kind of like, it's the same way. It's still being taken that way. Like, nobody knows whether to take it lightly or as truth. What are Plato's 5 clues to Atlantis? Okay, Plato's 5 clues included a location near the sea, a location outside the Pillars of Heracles or Hercules, which many believe to be Gibraltar. The presence of elephants, mountains to its north, a ring-like structure of the city, and most importantly, it had to be within roughly 5,000 kilometers from Athens. So that's his 5 clues. Can you visit Atlantis? No, at least not yet. However, you can visit the Lost Atlantis Museum in Santorini. It's a private initiative that promotes Greek heritage, culture, and mythology. It is the first museum in the world that gives you the chance to learn everything about the myth of the Lost Atlantis. Located in Megalochori, I didn't get to check that out. I'll have to look that up and see. And put that on there. But Megalochori. So I'm guessing that's somewhere around Greece or in Greece, Athens. Where is the lost city of Atlantis now? Researchers had previously proposed that Atlantis was located on the Greek island of Santorini, the Italian island of Sardinia or Cyprus. However, recent research has shown that the city may be found between Spain and Morocco waters in Cadiz. So that's some of their research that they've gotten to that point. So let's go to the next question, number 10. Who destroyed Atlantis? According to legend, the Atlanteans became a spiritually ugly race, and for that reason, Zeus and the gods destroyed them by letting the island be swallowed up by the sea. As such, there are other theories like the Lemurians were battling with them, etc. We can go down this rabbit hole, and this episode is going to be very long, just like the other ones. I try not to. I try to keep it at a decent time frame for you guys. And then if you want a second one or something, just comment, let me know, and I can dig deeper. I can dig deeper. But I mean, there's, I want to see if you guys are interested enough in it for me to dig deeper. Kind of like giving me the green light, if you know what I mean. But anyways, what do we got? 4 more questions here. Okay, so who are the 10 kings of Atlantis? All right. Plato wrote that these 10 rulers were the sons of Poseidon: Atlas, Gadarus, Amphitrus, Evamon, Mnesius, Autochthon, Elasippus, Mestor, Azaeus, and Diaprepes. So those were the 10 kings of Atlantis, supposedly. Next question is, who built the city of Atlantis? According to legend, it was founded by Neptune, the god of the sea. Okay. Next question is, are Atlanteans human? Atlanteans are an offshoot of humanity, part of the subspecies known as Homo mermani. Sometimes I don't know what to believe anymore with this. I don't know if I got some kind of false facts that came up in through here or not. Don't roast me, y'all, okay? I'm trying to get you the right stuff. And like I said, I don't know, maybe there's such thing. I'm going to have to look into that more. I didn't even think of looking into that. But what's the heck's the next one here? Well, here, hold on, here we go. This is a continuance from that one question, who destroyed Atlantis, and how it talked about Zeus and the gods. Okay, I didn't see I had that on there. I'm sorry. It was like a footnote. Its demise was inspired by an actual historical event, the breaching of Bosporus by the Mediterranean Sea and subsequent flooding of the Black Sea around 5600 BC. At the time, the Black Sea was a freshwater lake, half its current size. So that's another little fun fact there for you on top of that. But yeah, y'all, just give me a yay or nay on this, man. Let me know. I mean, if you want me to do another one, I can do one that's, paranormal related, like have the paranormal end of it, theories and conspiracy theories and all that with it, and do that kind of a take on it. I try to throw you guys the best of the facts that I can get, that I can pull up, and try to present them to you in a well manner, a good manner for you, to give you guys what information I pulled up that I could find, and let you guys digest that information, ingest it and take it how you want. But no, as far as it goes, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that was in this book that I referenced. I mean, it was really interesting. I mean, I read this book probably in, I think it was like less than a week or something like that. And I was working a lot of hours that week that I recall. But it's very interesting. I mean, like, you got different stuff in here, like, where in the heck's that? Hold on. There's a good drawing in there. Like, for instance, it shows some of the drawings of the stones and stuff for the Bimini Road. You know, like how they were laid out and how they were, you know, and they're trying to say that this is natural formation. I'm sorry, but if these stones are that way, I personally, I don't believe that was natural. That's man-made. I'm sorry, that's not natural. Okay? That's my take on it. But you guys believe what you want to believe. You know, we're here to expand our minds, open our minds, be open-minded, and not criticize. You know, I want this community to be, you know, be free of worrying about criticism. Okay, we're not going to criticize on this channel. I'm not gonna deal with that, because you know what, my belief and your belief might be totally different. You know, our thoughts or theories, they may conflict, but that doesn't mean we have to have tension between each other, right? Just because you say potato, I say potato, who cares? Say it how you want. I'm going to say it how I want. It's not going to change who I am or how I do things. Same with you. So let's take a little stock of this and try to think about what in the world we just went through here. You know, I mean, honestly, you guys, there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of places. I'll be honest with you, I was so surprised. Like, I didn't like the Celtic Shelf. They had theories on that. The Mediterranean Sea and all these other islands. You know, it made my head spin when I started doing this research. Started writing this stuff down. I'm like, my God, I never would have thought that. But you don't know. There's always room to learn. Always room to grow. You know, and that's what I love about doing this stuff, because every episode I've done, I've learned something from, and I hope that you watching right now, you're learning stuff too. Even if it's just something, one thing, you know, that's my goal. I'm trying to expand my mind. I'm trying to learn, you know, come to my own conclusion on what I think about this stuff. Same with every other episode. But we're going to be doing some, try to do different episodes. I'm going to try to space it out. Okay. We're going to do like more stuff like the missing 411 disappearances, you know. We're going to do unsolved mystery type stuff. We're going to also do, I'm going to try and do some comedy skits. Maybe they might be just like YouTube shorts. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm still just learning to do my editing right now. So I'm like a baby just getting up and trying to walk. Give me some time here. I'm trying to learn. All right. Hopefully we can all grow together. You know, we'll grow as the Trading Post family. You know, we'll grow together. We'll have a good time. And as I always say, you guys can always comment, send something in. If there's something you want me to cover, if there's something you want me to research, look into, please comment, throw it in there. You know, even if it's like, say if you had your own like personal account with a cryptid or something, don't send it to me. You know, if you want your name left out or whatever, you want me to use your name, I'll do that. But you know, I won't do that unless I'm, you know, I have the okay to do so. I won't disrespect anybody's privacy. I'm not like that. I do, however, I do want to tell you guys on another note that I do have a story. It's a local legend around here. Not so much. Well, yeah, it's a legend. It's because it's not myth. It actually happened. It's a true story, and I think you all will be very interested in it. It's actually a really good story to hear, and I'm in the process of trying to figure some things out. Once I figure it out and get it all compiled and get my notes and everything together on that, we will definitely do it. So it may be a short, it may not. It depends on how long it runs. But you know, you guys live your best life. Be happy, love, do your thing. You know, life's too short not to. All right. And you know, like I said, you guys find your own truth about this stuff. I mean, we can talk about like I said, we can go into the whole. We can do a whole other episode of this. If you want another one, and you want it to go into the paranormal end of it, like with the UFO type theories and this and the other stuff, we can definitely do that. I have no problem with doing. I just didn't think this was going to run as long as it did. Which is still not too bad. I think we're at a little over 40 minutes right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it somewhat informational to where you may have learned some new things. I don't know. But, I mean, we'll definitely, I'm going to keep this on the back burner for a second episode. You know, and we can try to do that. The whole other, we can shoot for the conspiracy end of it. The other theories, we can dive into those and do individual ones of them. But once you start getting into that, it brings that time up because, like I said, you're going down that rabbit hole. You know, and I have no problem doing it. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I just try to get to the informative end of it, and then touch up on, do the skeptic end, and then do the other end of it. So, yeah, I mean, I hope you guys was entertained and you had a good episode on this. Okay? And like I said, you guys have a great one, okay? Live, laugh, and love. Live your best life. Life's too short not to. Okay? You have a great one. Bye.